Hi everyone, this is Terry Aldridge, and today we're going to make this gorgeous nighttime lighthouse card. And when you open it up, it opens like a book. Isn't that neat? And it's easier than you think. Let's get started. So for this card, we'll need quite a few supplies. We're going to be using our High Tide stamp set, and this is carrying over to the new catalog, which I'm very happy about. So I'm just going to go through the pieces, all the bits and pieces when we need them. You can get a full list of pieces on my website at terryscraftroom.com, and the information will be down here in the description on how to get to terryscraftroom.com. You can also download a technique card, so if you keep a technique book and want to replicate this, you can download the card and put it in a binder for later reference, or you can just come back to terryscraftroom.com. It will be there. So our card base is basic black, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.5. Your typical card base. So let's set that aside for now. Our inside, our book fold here, let's do that. It's 8.5 by 5 3/8, and we're going to do some cutting and scoring. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to line it up here at this 1-inch mark, and we are going to cut from the 1-inch mark on our ruler here down to the 7.5-inch mark. So we're not cutting all the way top to bottom, just from 1 inch to 7.5 inch. And since I can see the 7.5 inch a little bit easier, I'm going to cut that first and go up to the 1-inch mark. Okay, now I'm going to do that on the same thing on the other side. And I apologize if my head is getting in the way here, but I have to be able to see this. Okay. So you can see what we did here. So we didn't go all the way to the end on either side. Now we're going to line up, we're going to take our cutting blade and put it out of the way, and we're going to score. So our first score is at the 1-inch mark here, and we're just going to score between our two cuts. So that should be from 1 to 4 3/8. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing at the 2-inch mark. Okay, then we're going to line it up at the 2.5-inch mark, and we're just going to score on the outsides, not the inside. We're going to line it up at the 4 1/4 inch and score all the way down. Now we're going to turn it over and do the same thing again. Line it up at the 1 inch and score in between. Line it up at the 2 inch and score in between. And line it up at the 2.5 inch and score on the outsides. And there we go. That's all our scoring. What we want to do is we want to train our book fold. So we're going to burnish it that way, and then I'm going to fold it the other way and burnish it the other way. Okay. So what we want, if you look at our book, is we want these center tabs to pop forward. So these we want to pop forward, these we want to go this way. So we want it to be that kind of a W right there. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Pop that forward. Okay. Give it a good burnish there. Now, this one we want to stay back, but we want these two here to go forward. Okay. Just like that. So that when you fold it all together, now you notice that there are no folds around the outside here. Okay, so when you fold it, you want to make sure you're only folding the score lines. And there you go. So when it folds flat like this. Okay, let's set that aside and then let's decorate now. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our lighthouse. So let me get the lighthouse stamps. Let's see. And this is a two-step stamping. And with this stamp, it doesn't really matter which stamp you use first. There we go. I'm just inking up my second stamp, and then I'm going to line it up. And there we go. So there's my lighthouse. Now we're going to make our horizon. And what I'm doing is I'm taking a sticky note that's, it's pretty close to this width of my paper. And I like to just take that straight edge off of the sticky note, because I don't believe that the horizon is just a straight edge. Okay. Oops. Before we do that, we want to also so what I did was, with this one, I took a sticky note and I stamped my image on the sticky end of my sticky note, and then I fussy cut it out, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask off my lighthouse so that you're not going to see my horizon in the lighthouse. Okay, let's see. A sponge. And I need some Night of Navy ink. And remember in previous tutorials that I've told you, anytime you sponge, you always start with the sponge off your project. And we want a really stark horizon here. But I don't want that. I don't want that image there. So what I'm doing is I'm starting off onto the sticky note here so that I get a nice smooth sponging. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, oh, you know what I forgot to put on here? And it's okay because we still have time. So I did the horizon. You can see the horizon here, and if I pick this up, You see, it's a nice strong horizon. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to blacken or darken the sky. But we want our moon. So I'm taking a punch, and again, punching out a sticky note on the sticky side. And I'm going to put the moon about there. And this punch is the 1.5 circle punch. Okay, now I can take my sponge and I can sponge around the sky and fill in the sky. And still, if you notice, I'm still starting off my paper, off my cardstock, so that I get a nice smooth sponged image. I don't get the harsh bristles, so to speak, or of the sponge. There we go. And there you have a nice soft night sky. Now this one I made a little bit more turbulent of a sky. So it's all what you're looking for. Okay, so let's pull up this one mask and we'll start sponging in the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mask and turn it over. Right there. And I'm just going to sponge in some of this bottom too, because I don't want the background behind my water to be stark white again. I want it to be filled in. Okay. So next we're going to fill in our land and our water. So our land is in black. And you can pretty much do the land however you want to. This stamp has a cutout here so that if you wanted to make it so that it goes right around the lighthouse, let me see that. So it's meant to go right around the lighthouse, but I don't think I want quite so much land, so I'm going to take it and go, since I've already masked the bottom of my lighthouse, I'm going to take it and I'm going to go like this. And you're just kind of filling in the land. You can turn your land over. There, I think that's good. Okay. And now we're going to fill in the water. Now the water you're going to be stamping and then stamping off and then stamping off. So stamp, move it, stamp, move it, stamp, move it, stamp. And see how it just gives you the dimension of the water here. Now what I want to do here is I don't want the water in my land, so I'm just going to kind of mask that off there too. There. And then let's fill this one last spot in right down here. Whoops. Silly me. The land is black. Okay. And we also need some grass. Now you might want to, at this point, pick up some of your masks. You can take the moon mask off, and we can take the lighthouse mask off, because you do want your grass showing up on your lighthouse. just like that. Okay. Okay, so a couple more steps on this piece. We have our birds, our bird stamp set, and we'll just kind of have them going across the sky, just like that. And then the last step, you notice our lighthouse is in shadow, but this one is bright white here behind it. So let's take a smoky slate Stampin' Write marker and just kind of fill these pieces in, just to put it in nighttime shadows. But I'm going to leave the whole top of the lighthouse in bright because it's in the moon. Okay, so there's our front of our card right there. Easy peasy. Now for the inside of the card, we have 4 pieces. Okay, so let's get our 4 pieces and we'll do our inside of our card. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and it's the same process. So, but without the lighthouse. So our first step is going to be to do our horizon. So we can use that. And let's get another, let's cut another piece of, there we go. So we're going to do it all together here. The next step is we need a moon. Now this moon is too big. So we need probably a 1-inch moon. So this is a 1-inch circle. Again, I'm just punching out a circle on the sticky end of the sticky note. And we'll put our moon up in the sky. Okay. And start getting our horizon built. And as you're sponging it, it really doesn't look like you've sponged much until you take that sticky note off. And don't forget, as you're going around your paper, your cardstock, to get around your moon so that you have the definition of your moon. Okay, that's probably good enough. So let's take our sticky off, and there's our horizon. Very nice. So let's turn it over here. The reason we turn it over and put it upside down is so that when you're stamping your water and your land, you don't get your land above your horizon. Okay? And this part doesn't have to be nearly as dark as the horizon. You don't want it to be. Okay, let's make some land. And this I'm going to have go, about like that. And then we have this little piece again that we can fill in with. And then we can fill in our water. There we go. And of course we need some grass. Let's take this up. Now, if you have trouble keeping all this in place, you can use some Dotto or some repositionable tape. But for the most part, the sticky notes work really well. Let's get the grass going here throughout the land here. Okay, and the last thing we need are our birds. So let's take our moon off here. Get them in nicely. And get our birds going across here. It doesn't really matter if one of the birds spans a page like this one. Okay. So now let's assemble. I have mats for these 4 pieces here. There's the order they go in. So I have mats for them. Sorry, I was off the screen there. Didn't realize that. That's better. Okay, so there's our insides. And here's our outside. So let's put these on before we put everything together. Stretch our inside out. You need to make sure you put them in the right spots too when you put them on. So it's good to have them sitting in their order on your desk so that when you put them on, you know which order to put them on. It's pretty easy to see because your picture will be wrong also. Especially if you have a bird chopped in half like that guy. Okay, then we're going to put this on our card front. There's no mat under this. It's just goes straight directly on the card front. Okay, so now this one, put this guy in. Remember, it lays flat like this. So this part right here is the only part that you're going to put adhesive on. You don't want adhesive on this middle part. So I like to use, for things like this, because it's going to get a little bit stress, I like to use my liquid glue. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put liquid glue on this side. Make sure I'm in the frame. And the easiest way is just to close it, just like that. And that way when you open it up, there you go. And there you have 2 lighthouse cards, book fold cards. I hope you enjoyed this project today. If you liked this project, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe below and hit the like button, and check out terryscraftroom.com for more projects like these. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye.